Fuck. Fuck you, Susan. I mean, F-bombs are armed and may be dropped. Oh, and hi, Squatch. No sound on that. Okay. Probably didn't turn it up high enough. That's okay. I can live with that. Okay. Speaking of which... And I'm going to play with this just for a second, guys. Kind of relearning, you know. All right. Welcome to February 2023. Really? Has it been that long? All right. So I took a long break. I got to get back into the swing of things. You know what? One of the things I got to do is figure out how I'm going to do this whole shitstorm going forward. Because, you know, I actually don't know myself. Did, however, promise, welcome to one and all who comes, except you, Apple, and you, Susan. Go fuck yourselves. Moving right along. Yeah, it's been that day. Where was I? Oh, I promised I would explain to everybody universal time. All right. Dr. Renfro, way the hell back, by the way, in the maybe late 40s, but probably mid 50s. He actually predicted that what we now call live streaming would be a thing. He had kind of a utopian vision of what it would be. A panel of experts, viewers and listeners would send in questions that could be addressed by the experts. Obviously, any jackass with a laptop computer can live stream now. Forget about any kind of experts. Fuck that shit. We don't need that. Um, but he also said that this was going to lead to a major breakdown in communications. See, noon Washington, D.C. time is not the same as noon uh, California time. He specifically pointed out California because whenever he wrote this, Alaska and Hawaii were not states of the Union yet, or at least when he wrote it the first time. Alaska and Hawaii were not states yet. So, um, he acknowledged the fact that we are going to have to all be on one time. All right. He referred to this as universal time and said that the simplest system was Greenwich Mean Time. Everybody being on Greenwich Mean Time, the entire world, by the way. Yes, you would have to adjust to your local time zones. For example, Greenwich, if you work what is right now a 9 to 5 job, 0900 to 1700 job in, let's say, Washington, D.C., you would be 4 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time, right? 9 plus 4 is 13. So you would work a 13 to 2100 job, not a 9 to 5 job, because your local time is 4 hours behind. This is actually a simple concept once you get it, but he also addressed the fact that we would have to transition into this system. And he put it very simply, the easiest way would be have both times for a couple of years until people got used to it. He also advocated ending forever the 12-hour clock and adopting forever railroad time. He didn't say 24-hour clock, which is the universally accepted standard term. He didn't say military time because it wasn't developed by the military, and the military only adopted it about a year or so into World War I because the railroads forced them to. Either you would use our 24-hour clock, or you're going to have to deal with the logistics issues of our trains being there on time, your people not being there to unload them or to take custody of the load or whatever your problem is, and we will keep on going. So they basically blackmailed the military into adopting 24-hour clock. Caucasian Sasquatch points out that we polled 100% of your captive studio audience. Hold up, you're not being held captive. You are not being held captive, people. I am not a kidnapper. I'm a sociopath, but not a kidnapper. And they unanimously voted, fuck you, Carrie. Well, yeah, actually, the only captive member here is me. And yeah. Actually, fuck you, Carrie. I agree. So 100% of the audience has, in fact, voted, fuck you, Carrie. Hi, Gulch. Okay, the chat seems unstuck now, so I don't know what happened. I am going to try a little experiment here. Because believe it or not, guys, I'm actually reading the chat off of what you are seeing. So we're all synced together as best as we can be at this. If one of you could give me a big middle finger so I can check and make sure this is actually working. In the meantime, okay, so why is Universal Time so important? Because we do live beyond just the digital age. We live way the fuck out into something that even I think Dr. Renfro could not have predicted, where literally the entire world is 24/7. Right. Yoko from Japan is streaming in her morning. That's great for her, but it's the middle of the night for me. All right. Um, and because I can't really adjust to the time zones of there being 24 time zones, I get lost. I'll just be very blunt with you. I can't tell you how many uh, uh, Daisy Cousins streams I've missed because I thought she gave one time and it was something else entirely. There's another channel I just stopped even bothering to try to make it. If I happen to be on YouTube when they're live, great. I'll tune in for a few minutes. Other than that, I'll watch reruns eventually. Or we could be on 24. We could be on Universal Time, and I would know exactly what time it is. I wouldn't have to adjust. More to the point. Okay, that's not a good sign. Exit full screen. Okay. Yes, the chat works. It seems to not be working. It gets stuck when I try to put the stream into full screen. So, yeah. See, actually, I know Alpine Gulch just said, I like GMT, but the YouTube chat as it's rendering over on StreamYard in the stream itself is not showing that. There it goes. Okay, it is still working. It's simple, it's efficient, and it puts everybody on the same page continuously. Excuse me. So if it's Saturday 2 minutes after midnight in Greenwich, England, it's Saturday 2 minutes after midnight all the way around to Paris, France, which I think is the next time zone east. Might be the next one after that. All right. Flag on the play. Dr. Renfro never said his philosophy was perfect. He said it was a philosophy. I think he didn't give himself nearly as much credit as he deserved. All right. The other issue that I thought of entirely on my own. It's 9017. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, first of all, I'm getting really, really disappointed with some people. All right. They keep saying, he keeps talking about 9017, but I don't know what it is. After how many years now? I've been talking about it fairly consistently since I started streaming. That was, oh Lord, I'll say May of 2020, and you still don't know what 9017 is? Okay, well, 9017 is my theory that there is a terrorist attack coming. that there's a terrorist attack coming in the form of mass shootings that are coordinated within a couple of hours total over multiple time zones, and in fact, potentially multiple continents, at least across the entire United States. Now, not the entire United States. My central core was that it would be Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, no, Georgia, Virginia, New York, Maryland, New York and Maryland. Not Maryland, Delaware. Delaware, actually, no, probably not. That's like the one, that and Rhode Island would be the two states they'd probably just skip over for spite. All right, the flyover states. They might skip over those, not for spite so much as just how much do you really, hey Sam, how much do you really have to invest to make sure everybody understands that you can inflict terror anywhere, at any time they want? Well, doesn't require that much. And that it would target the state's capital and the biggest city. So, yeah, I grew up in California, right? That would be San Francisco and Los Angeles for the biggest cities, and Sacramento for the state capital. I lived in Oregon for quite some time. That would be Eugene and Portland for the biggest cities, or at least the most prestigious cities. And Salem, which I lived just outside of at the time, that I first started putting this out into the universe, for the state capital. Washington is pretty much Seattle and Olympia. I'm sorry, I take that back. Spokane. Okay, so there would be 3 in that state too. It doesn't have to be every city. It just has to be the ones that would get the world's attention. Now, I kept saying it's not 9/11 yet when there was a mass shooting, because by God, it wasn't coordinated. It wasn't timed with everybody else. This is some lone wolf. Well, you know what? I need to stop making those excuses and just accept that the lone wolves took the job when the coordinated pack decided not to. Why did they decide not to? I don't know. I really don't. Oh, excuse me. All right, I'm going to catch up on the chat for a second. Sam, don't worry about that. Gulch, the subjects. Oh, no. Oh, boy. What the hell happened? Okay, I'm going to have to track it this way, I guess. Subjects. Universal time, 9017, but 9017 is going to tie into something else here in a minute. All right. I kept making these excuses. It's not 9017 because it was one lone wolf attack, not a coordinated system, and it has to be coordinated to count. Well, yeah, the pack is not hunting. I don't know why. I don't care why. It's completely irrelevant. At the end of the day, the attacks are continuing. up to and including an attack on a North Carolina electrical grid that took out an entire grid. And this was a very, very well thought out, conceived, or ridiculously lucky attack that went after the radiators. Yeah, the radiators on some transformers. As a matter of fact, they took out another transformer substation. Or is it station? It might be station. They took out the radiators there, but didn't damage anything else. Almost like all they were trying to do was force everybody to realize, hey, they can strike anywhere, any way they want. And now we have another problem. Oh, one of these days I'm going to get a trackball. Don't leave studio. Don't leave your own studio. Now, this is going to be a little bit off, and I'm sorry. It is what it is. See how it comes out, though. Ah, yes. Washington Post. Colleges want open doors. MSU shows the risk. The campus of Michigan State University, where a gunman killed 3 students and badly injured 5 others on Monday night, is a cultural center of East Lansing, Michigan. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, just blah, blah, blah. As the nation absorbs another tragic shooting, one of the defining features of public higher education is again shown its vulnerability. Unlike K-12 schools, which typically have limited access points, buildings on college campuses are designed to be an open space for inquiry and congregation. That openness, though, can make colleges and universities a softer target. Okay. Well, start with the little elephant in the room by switching back to the chat. Make sure everything's right. Okay, good. One of these days, I'll be a professional. Who am I joking? All right. First of all, my high school, when I was growing up, was not any kind of perimeter markers, actually. So I'm not sure what they're talking about there. The only fencing or walls or other barriers around my high school was that along one side of the campus, there was a cliff. So they put up a fence so students wouldn't go running off the edge of the cliff. I'm not even joking. That's it. The back road into the school was the football field was on the other side of the back road into the school, which way the hell back in the day was actually a road that led out to the farm territories, just barely outside of town. Like some of those farms were actually inside of city limits when the school was built. To give you an idea, Reading still does have a couple of farms well inside of city limits. That's what kind of town, what kind of city Reading is. Um, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just going to do something real quick. That part worked. Or it's not working. That is working. Everything's working. Okay. Do 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 do. As long as everything is working the way it's supposed to be, I don't give a fuck. Moving right along. Oh, anyway, that was the high school where I grew up. Well, all of the schools were like that, and actually, only two of them were exempt. One was North Valley Continuation School, which was mini juvenile hall, and Live Oak, which was where you got sent if you were being kicked out of the real schools. Loved it there. Live Oak was great. I should never have left that place. Yep, that tells you what kind of person I really am. Of course, I'd probably be a 5-time dad now. 5-time deadbeat dad, considering it is Live Oak. But anyway, either way, it is what it is. I think we can unpin that just in case something else comes along. There we go. At the end of the day, all schools are extremely vulnerable, and we're not doing a whole hell of a lot to stop it. The Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting shows just how ridiculous a fence is at stopping somebody who intends to do harm. That is to say, yeah, didn't even really slow him down, did it? You know, one thing that's different between Live Oak or North Valley or Shasta High School, mine, and say Michigan State University or Shasta College, where I went to first. Adults go to school at colleges and universities. When I went to Sac City, the youngest person there as a student was 17, and she was like some sort of ridiculously smart. She'd skipped 2 grades in grade school, right? She was 17 at the time that I met her. And even then, this was her first term. She would have been the latter, or the first half of her senior year. And basically, she was told, no, go away for a year, come back and talk to us and see if you really want to do this. And she really wanted to do that. Good for her. Everybody there is an adult, right? Everybody there is an adult who's crawled into a little box. Because I don't know if you've been to a college or university recently. I have. The college classrooms are actually safer in that regard because they're smaller. There's not so many people in there. You can lock the doors and have a much better effect. There'll be fewer people stuck in there. And then the gunman will be trapped outside a different classroom. Okay, well, that is what it is. But at the end of the day, these are all adults. Why can they not defend themselves? Because it's a college, it's a university. Okay. Well, I happened to be on campus the day of the Umpqua Community College shooting. I remember I'm off in the parking lot. I don't entirely remember now. Well, I know I'm off in the parking lot. I'm heading towards the building because I happen to know where one of the coffee shops is. And I was going to get some coffee and burn a few hours while I'm homeless by posing it as a college student. I'm trooping along, doop-de-doo, big stupid me. Don't mind me, I'm just a stupid person, right? When I heard the fire alarm go off, I beat feet for the fire alarm, thinking that it was a fire alarm and I was going to volunteer to help the fire department or whatever it was. And then some guy with a gun comes running by me telling me, get the fuck out of here. Hey, when a guy in civilian clothes carrying a gun tells you, get the fuck out of here, you get the fuck out of there. All right? I don't care what the circumstances is. You get the fuck out of there. Well, that turned out to be the first responding officer. Flag on play. First responding officer that I know of. I don't know if he was campus security. I don't know if he was the local police or sheriffs. I don't care. I really don't give a fuck. All right. Guy with the gun tells you get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck out of here. You're gone. Right? Yeah, well. Oh. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is a thing. And it will happen. No, I shouldn't get into that really. I might touch on it later though, Squatch. Either way. That day I had left my gun in the car because, you're not allowed to bring a gun onto a college campus. Now, would I have been able to affect what was going on that day? Maybe not. It seems reasonable for me to assume no, I wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have known where to look. The best I could have done was put a few rounds towards the guy, force him to hide in the classroom, and yes, Gulch, I figured that's what you meant. Put a few rounds towards the guy, force him to hide in the classroom, and at least he wouldn't have been able to go into any other classrooms, do anything else. He didn't intend to do anything else. Even if he had intended to do something else, by now all kinds of merry hell has been raised. Everybody else is like, nope, we're out. Fuck this shit, we're out, right? I don't berate myself. I don't beat myself up. I don't have any guilt about what happened because I did what I was absolutely required by law to do. Not the right thing, the legally required thing. I do look back and wonder if I had my gun with me that day and I had gone into the building anyway, thinking that this is a fire, would it have changed anything? Would any of those people have survived? Well, I can tell you this much. I got to that building so long before guy with the gun tells me, get the fuck out of here. I remember he said, get the fuck out of here. Not get out of here. Not go back to your car. Not something professional. Get the fuck out of here. Something completely unprofessional. Okay. Flag on the play. I don't care about his momentary lapse of good and proper etiquette. I really fucking don't care. Okay. I am way past over that. What I do want to point out is he did have that momentary lapse of good and proper etiquette, right? It occurs to me that if he was that excited that he momentarily had that lapse of judgment, he must have been really fucking excited, all right? Excited is not always a good thing. You get real excited when your car goes into a flat spin because you forgot to take your foot off the gas and keep it off the brakes as you turn to swerve to avoid hitting that moose. That's a really exciting moment. It doesn't mean you want to do it again. Could I have affected the situation differently? Maybe. Maybe some of those people would be alive now. I don't know. I can never know because the law prevents me from having done the right thing. And by the way, raise a toast to the guy that threw that fire alarm. He did save lives, absolutely, no question or doubt in my mind. I also recall that he did survive, right? But I could swear I remember he got shot. He did get shot in the course of that. He made it out alive, so good for him. How many of those MSU students, those Michigan State students, could have done something else that forced the gunman to change his plans from one of dominate and destroy to evade, escape, and survive? I'm just saying. At least 2 of those students would still be alive today. But for these gun control laws that say you can't bring a gun onto a public school because it's a public school. That will never, ever make sense to me. I'm going to throw this one out there as well. Shannon Watts et al. Pushed those laws through. They knew that this would be a potential consequence of those laws because they were warned repeatedly. They were told this by how many quarters that this will just lead gunmen to target schools, mass shooters to target schools. Big surprise, seeing as how the first so-called mass shooting was Stockton Elementary shooting of 1981. Damn it, I should prepare better. I believe it was 1981, in which a Vietnam vet shot up a school that was known for having Hmong students. That's the real people. It was strictly racially motivated because I suppose he'd been there, done that, and was holding a grudge. Okay, I want to throw a flag on this plate. Alpine says, they don't teach to pull the fire alarm in a shooting. Wonder why. And of course, I'm not psychic. I can't read Alpine's mind. I assume that this wasn't meant sarcastically, which is the way it sounded as I read it. The way it sounded coming out of my mouth, reading her words, not the way I read that. But actually, they do. They say, pull a fire alarm. Make a push over a shelf of grocery at a grocery store. Without getting into the details, I did work at a grocery related store, and that's one of the things they say is if you see it, push one of the shelves over if you can to create tripping hazard and to make it noise so that it alerts other employees and customers. Oh, hey, that's not a bad idea. They also said throw stuff, actual word, throw stuff at him until you can escape. That was part of the run. Then there was the hide and fight. They don't talk about the fight anymore for reasons I don't know. Yeah. So any butt hurt, guys, is to be directed at me because it's my fault. But anyway, so yeah, we were told make noise, make whatever noises you can. Fire alarms I don't recall them specifically saying fire alarms. I do recall them specifically saying try to not. Excuse me. Try to dump a shelf to make noise and to create an impediment. God damn it. Jesus Christ, this was a long time ago. Like over a president ago. Yeah, I guess it would be about 8 years. Damn. 8 years ago. But anyway, to create an impediment, to make noise, to alert others. Now they say they took the fight part away. Well, fuck you. I'm going to fight anyway. Yes, I'm going to try to run first. Yes, I'm going to try to stay out of the way, whether it's hiding or something else. Stay out of the way. If he gets to me, I don't have a choice but to fight at this point. Do I? Can't help but wonder if those students at MSU were allowed to fight, what the results would have been. At very least, they would have forced him to reconsider his plans. And yes, 2 of the 3 students, bare minimum, 2 of the 3 students would still be alive. They might be hurt, they might have been injured, but they'd be alive. Excuse me, I do want to emphasize this one too. For a moment, Kent State shooting, 1970. That was a very, very different situation. All right. You can call it what you want, and 90% of it would be true, up to and including rogue military action. Fuck you, I said it. Rogue military action. And just because it's the National Guard doesn't mean it's not military. Fuck you, Joe Biden. So yeah, the Kent State was a very different situation, right? Now, if those students at Kent State had been able to fight back, how would it have ended? Probably a lot worse there under that situation, because you have multiple trained combatants and not one or maybe two lone wolves on the loose. I don't even like calling these lone wolves. These are scavenging mongrels. But whatever, we call them lone wolves. We call them lone wolves. Fuck it. Kent State probably would have ended up worse because it's not a lone wolf with minimal or no training. On the other hand, Kent State, from beginning to end, was a different situation and type of situation. Also, if the point was to point out that the government can act in a rogue fashion, well, yeah, there's no better example than Kent State and Tuskegee syphilis experiments. Okay, let me rephrase that. First of all, there's everything that was done to the Indians. Second of all, after that, there's no better example in the United States. Just saying. Sorry, guys. Okay. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Kent State was, well, first of all, it was wrong. Second of all, it happened. All right. Michigan State is a completely different situation. This one guy went in there with an intention to kill people and break shit for no apparent reason at all. Before I say this, I want to say, if you can put together the thought process necessary to get a gun, cross state lines, and shoot up a school, I don't care what your situation is, you're still guilty. Having said that, after the Michigan State shooter was apparently dead, somebody found a note in his pocket indicating that he harbored some sort of beef with a middle school in New Jersey, I think it was. It was either New Jersey or New York. I don't care. Doesn't matter. It's in a whole different state. Well, for the last couple of days, that school has been closed. Students are not allowed are literally not allowed on campus at all. Right? They were more open during pandemic, at least during the pandemic. At least during the pandemic, most students on the school lunch programs were allowed to get school lunches. We love you, Susan. So much so that I have a spare standing by. for the last couple of days, those students weren't even allowed to do that. Okay. There is definitely something going on. There was something going on in that man's mind that he was not. He was here, but he was really gone. Okay. He was probably spiraling out of control at this point. And it was either go out in a blaze of glory or just go out in a shootout with the cops. Well, people will remember your name if you shoot up a school. Now, golf clap, people. Golf clap. To the best of my knowledge, his name has not been repeated yet. And if you do know what his name is, don't repeat it now. I don't want to see it immortalized on my channel of all places. So far, they have not mentioned his name. And good. Don't. He doesn't deserve it. He remembers to be remembered as that shitbag from Michigan State. That's it. That's all he ever was. Mentally ill or not. There's no reason to mention his name. And the only reason to mention the other school was, actually, they did close that school because he said something or indicated something to make them all believe that he intended to harm more people. Okay, well, it is what it is. It is unfortunate that his decisions against getting help, and there I said it, he decided to destroy other people's lives in the process. Okay, that's still working. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know what to make of that. Okay. We're just going to move on past Sam's obsession with cannibalism, which, by the way, is my turf, so step off. And get back on topic. Was this attack in Michigan part of 917? Probably not. All right. The attack on the gay bar, what was it, last month? Probably was uncoordinated and unsophisticated and thoroughly unimpressive. I'm not talking about the one where the dad jumped up and grabbed the gun and then fought or wrestled or forced the guy to the ground or something, and then somebody else walked up with stiletto heels on and curb stomped kicked the man, the shooter, in the head. Fuck it. Yeah, you know what? That was a curb stomp. Under normal circumstances, I would be condemning that as an improper and inappropriate action. Considering the totality of circumstances, even though I'm telling y'all, I know it was just a fuck you round, just a pure act of malicious, hate driven retribution. I don't fucking care. And if your heel was broken in the process, let me know. I'll help you buy a new one. Having said that, though, do want to briefly touch on the legal defense that I would be advising my client to use if I was the attorney. I've heard that this individual was a cross-dresser, and I'm just going to go with that. If I was his attorney, the high-heeled cross-dresser, if I was his attorney, I would tell him to say, for the purposes of prosecution, that I went to attack the guy with the gun to try to stop him from shooting everyone. Somebody else jumped out of the corner of my eye and suddenly was on top of him. So I went to strike the only way I could without endangering the guy who was controlling the gun. I was just trying to distract the man, the shooter, for a second, so that the guy trying to take the gun could get the upper hand. Oops. I didn't realize I kicked him in the head with my heel. I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. I was just trying to distract him. Also, you don't want me sitting on that jury because I might just end up pinning a medal on him. Pinning a bigger one on the dad, but totally separate subject. We love you, Susan. Moving right along. Okay. I'm going to touch on this a little bit, and I'm going to let it go. The balloons that have been going up all over the place, right? During World War II, the Japanese released the Fugo bombs. These were paper balloons, which I assume paper balloon meant treated paper, up into the stratosphere, where the jet stream carried them from Japan to the United States. They were armed with one 10-pound high explosive and 10 5-pound incendiary bombs. I think I got that right. And they were designed to release gas at certain points and drop weights at certain points to get them all the way across. At least a dozen made it to the United States. One made it to Illinois, where it ended up killing a chaplain's wife and a bunch of kids on a chapel outing. One made it into Canada, where I believe it crashed harmlessly. One made it to Washington State, where it was found in the 1980s. One was accounted somewhere else over the Midwest. Good night, Sam. One made it somewhere across the Midwest. And one made it to Lincoln National Forest. From there, it touched off, although it may have been a couple of years later, apparently, touched off a wildfire that burned for over a month, overwhelmed not only the firefighters that were sent to fight it, but also the nearby army base where the soldiers were sent to fight it, to the point where the militia was called in. Local ranchers called in to help fight this fire. Took them over a month to get this fire back under control. And towards the end of that, after the fire was out, the Rangers were walking through what was left of the forest trying to find what kind of damage was done. They found a badly injured bear cub up in a tree. His mother was dead. They took him down. They nursed him back to health. They shipped him off to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. His name was Smokey. Literally, Smokey the Bear was a result of the Fugo bombs of World War II. And now we have balloons passing over the United States with apparent impunity. I'm just saying. Okay. I've been going for about an hour. All right. If you guys have any questions, toss them in the chat. And if they don't piss me off, I'll probably read them and answer. In the meantime, Michigan State is a perfect example. Down to people corralled in small places. Umpqua Community College is a perfect example. Right down to people corralled into small spaces. Right. The lack of security at schools in general is abysmal to the extent that, to be perfectly blunt, slaughterhouses aren't as easy, and slaughterhouses are literally built to kill large numbers of animals with industrial efficiency. All right. And a slaughterhouse is not nearly as efficient as an average school. So take from that what you want. I'm be perfectly blunt. I'm tired of reading about school shootings when the circumstances were completely preventable. Just beginning to end were absolutely, completely preventable. And thank you, Shannon Watts and Josh Sugarman, for making that happen, knowing that that would be the result, so that you could grift another couple $1 million off of stupid, ignorant normies who would never, ever know what to do in that situation. I want to applaud you for your foresight in making sure that you stay very that your paychecks keep those 6 zeros. All right, I want to congratulate you on this clever trick you played on everybody to murder as many people as you could to make sure that you have that 20 berthing mansion in Bel Air or wherever the fuck it is you people live. So-called people live. And Apple, you can be butthurt about this all you want. You go check their financial records and tell me I'm lying. And yeah, I'm fucking furious. I am. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Right. Another bit of the bullshit that I'm sick and tired of is people like Robert Reich, Sieg Heil, you little lying sack of shit, saying that this doesn't happen in other countries when it's happened over 100 times in and around the London area since the start of the new year. Yes, this does happen in other places. You know it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is only a lie if you know it's a lie. If you don't know, then it's not a lie. If you honestly and earnestly believe that what you are saying is correct and accurate and truthful, it's not a lie. Um, if you know it's not, or if you have a reason to believe that it is not, and choose to not look at alternative data sets, like Metro Police's own reporting, uh, own reporting system, or worse still, Police, Metropolitan London Police Department's own reporting information, or moreover, you choose to look at the uh, reconciled reporting information, which doesn't say any of this, you're a fucking liar. And it's as simple as that. Robert Reich is trying to say that this doesn't happen in other countries. Yes, it does. And you know it does. But you choose not to look at that information because you're lying. Because your own 8-figure salary is depending on you not looking at that information. Okay. I'm calming down a little bit, guys. I'm calming down. These things do happen in other countries. Oh, there was a raging gun battle in Los Angeles. It's Los Angeles. Yeah, there's great raging gun battles in Los Angeles too. But there was a raging gun battle in Paris, France, in 2019 that went on for so long that people with cell phones were able to start recording parts of it from safe positions. These guys were using what looked to me like Mac 10s, Mac 10, 11, something like that. Submachine pistols. Hey, Luke, you missed the majority of my rants. Yeah, we know, Luke, you are late and gay. Well, that's okay. So am I. Except to my own stream, I'm always ridiculously early. Just ask Cheesebear. No. Whoever. Somebody. I forgot. Where was I? Luke, what you missed was me ranting about Universal Time and 9017 and how it's here. It's a slow burn, not the fast burn that I had assumed. And how the Michigan State University shooting once again proves not only that gun control doesn't work, but that it has been a deliberate and malicious effort for the last roughly 40 years. Been part of a deliberate and malicious effort to get as many people murdered as possible so that Shannon Watts and Josh Sugarman and Robert Reich can get their 8-figure salaries. I'm sorry. Shannon and Josh are 6-figure. Robert is an 8-figure salary. That and a little bit of me trying to piss off "We love you, Susan," because she's a cunt, and telling Apple to go fuck herself too. Moving right along. Okay, we're at about an hour and 11 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up in about 15-ish. Well, at about an hour and a half. Hey, Bernie, you're late and gay too. Don't worry about it. All right, guys. I want to see at least one intelligent question in the chat here in the next couple of minutes. And then I'm going to start wrapping up for the night. I'm trying to get back into this. Where do we go now? Well, the good news is another state, Florida, passed a right to carry law. Now, it's not the same as a constitutional carry, which is a little bit different, but that's okay. Every time I hear about a state going this direction, what I'm hearing is 36, I believe it was. Sorry, guys. $33, $34. Every time I hear about a state passing a right to carry or constitutional carry law, I'm literally counting down. Ooh, excuse me. You guys also missed me drinking out of a brown bottle. Just saying. But either way. It takes 34 states currently to pass a constitutional amendment. Every time I hear another state pass constitutional carry, I'm just counting them down. Right now we're at 25. So I am 9 states short of my goal. I'm gonna throw some people under a bus. Not a single person in San Francisco actually supports gun control. They'll say the words. They will absolutely say the words. But in that city, there is 3 guns for every resident. And not all of them are being hoarded by the drug dealers. Every single motherfucker in that city has at least 1 gun. That's the truth. They don't want anybody to know that they have a gun for a lot of reasons. One of them being that their neighbors, their friends and neighbors will come over and publicly shame them while those same friends and neighbors have a gun as well that they're just not telling anybody about. That is actually the most heavily armed city in the United States, not uh, Plano, Texas. Plano, Texas is just honest about it. There's a huge difference. Um, I am familiar with some activities related to getting AR-15s to California, and you would be absolutely fucking horrified at how many there are within the city limits of San Francisco. You'd be horrified at the number I know are there. All right, somewhere around 10,000 total over the course of 2 years of activity. Don't ask me how I know that. What purpose is the current administration deceiving us about what they shot down? I assume that he meant, what is the purpose of the current administration deceiving us? Bernie, to the best of my knowledge, they're not deceiving us. I'm going to go there. It was a balloon. They shot it down. I know that one of the things that's been reported is an octagonal shape. I don't know that to be true. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. As to what was hanging from those balloons, I actually talked about that earlier. I started to address it. And then I left it hanging in the air, which is what a good sociopath would do if he was trying to make everybody panic and be very, very afraid, which, oh yeah, by the way, is exactly what I was doing. Look up Fugo bombs later. So, in answer to your question, I don't know that they are lying. I don't think they're being fully forthcoming. I don't think they're being forthcoming basically at all. But I don't know that they're lying, and that's all I can say to that. It is what it is. Okay. As to the octagonal object, I don't even know it exists. As far as I know, that's just internet rumor. And not for nothing, if I had started that rumor, it would have been very, very different. I would have gone with, Russian spy plane or some shit like that nobody would even begin to question. Because Russian spy planes are a thing. I also probably actually would have gone with a Chinese spy plane controlling the balloons, because that would have been a whole lot more fun. Oh, excuse me. Because they're late and gay. Luke, Bernie, you missed my little rant. Luke, I think you've heard this before. Bernie, I know you haven't. I happened to be on campus at Umpqua Community College the day of the shooting there that ended up in, I think, half of the classroom massacred. And I don't beat myself up. I don't blame myself any more than I was obeying the law exactly as it was written. That was one of the days when I really wished I hadn't. It is what it is. Uh, oh, excuse me. That last cough shot some tea up into my nose. Ooh, that hurts. All right. Any other questions? Feel free to ask, and I'll answer it if it's appropriate. So get your get-home bags ready, because I think you're going to need them a lot sooner than you realize. It's, I've been saying this for going on 2 years now, getting there pretty quick. But it's coming. It's kind of here now. You do not know when and how this shitstorm is going to hit you. And it might not hit you directly, right? I live in Reno. That's not a good example. When I was living up in Oregon, I lived in Dallas, Oregon. Salem is one of the targets that, I absolutely have in mind. Oh, excuse me. Is absolutely one of the targets that I have in mind. They hit Salem. That's going to close Highway 22, which is the main supply, which is the main artery from Salem to the coast, which runs through Dallas, which means Dallas is cut off. Worse still is they may actually close that road for the duration of the crisis. So I'd be stuck in Salem for a couple days, not able to get home. Now what? Well, now what is I go an alternate route and I have to walk home for 3 days. That would have really sucked. But I would have made it home to my family eventually. So get that get home bag ready. Be ready to use it. I think you might be needing it a lot sooner than you think. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. Keep calm and mandatory carry on.